This video is in a series of videos designed to help students understand how to create class models using UML techniques in order to model reality and to provide the foundation for database skills. In each of these videos, you can use the buttons at the top of the screen to jump to other areas in this tutorial to understand how to use those directly. In this video, we'll be focusing on the foundation for class diagrams, two key elements, the classes and the associations. In a class is used to represent objects that are in the real world. In general, these objects could represent people, places, things, or occurrences in time. Although it could be used to document any type of scenario, if you focus on the business domain, people could be represented including employees, salespeople, customers. Each of those would be examples of classes of people. Places might be factories, division locations, states, countries. Things would be equipment, raw materials, devices, inventory, and occurrences in time are often used to represent sales, cash receipts, the key activities that a business performs. To create class diagrams, there's another set of videos that use video to show how you actually implement them. You can click to the button on the left of the screen to jump to the video series if you prefer to be looking at that rather than the overview and conceptual discussions of class diagrams. As you see in the lower left-hand side of the screen, a class is represented by a rectangle, and there are several portions of the class icons. We're going to focus on this portion of the tutorial on just entering in the class names. In future videos, you'll learn more about stereotypes and attributes. Associations are the links that allow you to show how each of the classes are related to each other. In general, associations are shown as straight lines between the two classes that are related. In this video, we'll focus on adding a general definition of what the association is, and in the multiplicities video, we'll learn about the rules for how those classes are related. So let's think about an example where we can identify what are the classes and the associations between those classes. So take a moment to pause and think about what a hospital environment has. Within the emergency room, it's likely that there's an operating room that's used to operate on patients that come in through the emergency room process. Those operations are performed by usually one doctor, but that doctor might be assisted by several nurses, depending on the complexity of the process that's being performed. So if you think about it, who are the people, where are the places, the things or the occurrences in time that you would want to represent if you were developing a system that was going to capture data about the operating room? Again, you want to think about what the relationships are between those entities. Pause for a moment. People, places, things, and occurrences in time. Well, that might be relatively easy given the description we had before, but let's look at the model that you would draw. So classes are represented by the rectangles. As I mentioned, in this portion of the tutorial, we're only focusing on the names of the classes. And so you see we have one location, the operating room. We have one event or occurrence in time, and that would be the operation itself. And we have three different classes of people, the doctor, the patient, and the nurse. Additionally, you see that we've identified four associations, and we've assigned names to each of those associations so that the reader of this diagram would understand what actually happens in the midst of an operation. In order to make diagrams easier to understand, it's good that you start learning the correct naming conventions for each of the different elements. And so recognize that classes start with uppercase letters and associations start with lowercase letters. I'll move back to the diagram itself so you can see how we've implemented that. Notice that operating room doesn't have a space between it, but that each word, operating and room, both have capital letters. The operation itself occurs within the operating room, and so we named the association between those two classes located in. The first word in the association begins with a lowercase letter, and then the second word and all following words, if there were more, begin with an uppercase letter. This allows the reader to automatically identify when one word stops and another starts, and those upper and lowercase letters are actually important in technology environments which distinguish between lower and uppercase. This wraps up our first video. Classes represent people, places, things, and occurrences in time, are represented by rectangles. We'll learn more about the different portions of the rectangles in future videos. And associations are the links between those classes, represented as lines with names describing the association. If you'd like to continue these tutorials, you'll be able to go to the stereotypes, the multiplicities, or the attributes videos to further understand the additional elements of UML diagrams.